it's Big Bronson Reed, and he's got a shoe. Who throws a shoe? Bronson Lee. Huh? He is Big Bronson Reed. He has the shoe follow, Gollywood day. Shoe follow. Oh shit, here's Roman Reigns. I'm Joe Renton with my review, WWE Raw from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yeah, bet you didn't expect this review, did you? You know why? Naomi's announcement, and a couple other things I want to talk about. And I was bored, and I was also frustrated after watching the latest mystery movie. It was Ron Howard's latest, Eden. It was terrible. Check out that review. Also, I have a few thoughts on this, and I'm just gonna randomly post Raw reviews when I want to. It's just a lot of fun. Just suddenly surprise you. Surprise, motherfuckers! So, yeah, we're on our way to Clash in Paris, which, as of this recording, I will actually be able to watch live. And my time of reviewing the premium live event is going to be coming to a close after the Rumble next year because of this ESPN deal, and I don't know if I want to spend the $30 a month. I might just, buy a couple months, like maybe for Mania and SummerSlam. But nevertheless, talk about that when we get to it. 21,000 seating capacity in the Xfinity Mobile Arena. 13,000 according to WrestleTix. Gee, I bet Heyman wishes he could have drawn a crowd like that for EC-Dub. Don't worry, more on Heyman here in a minute. So last week, Pierce basically made a four-way for Paris. It is Rollins, LA Knight, and it is CM Punk, and as well as Jey Uso. And the stuff with Rollins' group is kind of getting old. I mean, I get where they're going with it. It's going to lead to Rollins and Steiner having their clash. But realistically, Reed and Steiner need to run with the tag titles for a bit. Like, they really need to win those tag titles and just run till, around the Rumble or something like that. The drone shots look great. Arrest Rollins for his crimes against fashion. What the fuck? And Heyman, he talks about how he is revered. He's like a god in Philadelphia. Yeah, to the fans, not necessarily to the wrestlers. A lot of the wrestlers that he led to financial ruin because he was a lousy businessman. He had great ideas. I will never take away from the creative genius that is Paul Heyman. He was brimming with ideas. Just, he wasn't willing to do any of them himself. Because you never saw Heyman take a lot of those bumps. You never saw Heyman do a lot of physical activity. But, oh yeah, let me hype you up. Let me have you go through a few tables. Let me have Spike Dudley, go through goddamn tables against Mike Awesome at Guilty as Charged 2000. Or Tommy Dreamer go through a whole bunch of stuff. More on Tommy Dreamer here in a minute. But the whole thing is, yes, there were ECW chants. And for those who love ECW, I have nothing but respect for you guys. There are some that watch this channel. And I thank you for that. And I did appreciate some of what ECW did. But ECW was more damaging to the long-term, growth of professional wrestling than anything else because nobody has been able to get away from it. The amount of weapons, the high-impact style is one thing. But the amount of weapons and chaos and bullshit has always bothered me. Regardless of the promotion, it's old, it's stale, and it doesn't feel fresh anymore. Now, Heyman did not mention the fact that he ran ECW into the goddamn ground. And his problems basically managing money and being unable to do that. And the fact is that Paul Heyman, and I stand by what I said. It was something I said. I don't remember if it was the Raw after Mania. One of the Raws that I did sometime after Mania. But Paul Heyman basically has made a fortune off of the broken bodies, and the corpses of the legacy of ECW. And quite frankly, is just as guilty of, the deaths and dismemberment of many of the talents. Now, yes, they chose to do that, but at the same time, you drink the Paul E. Kool-Aid for too goddamn long, you're going to end up like the Jim Jones cult. And I will say that the Shoe of Follow line is pretty funny. I don't know why Big Bronson Reed, Here Comes Bronson, is just stealing shoes. I don't know what they put in them, but he's been tripping all day. Screwed that up. Should have said laced, but nevertheless. So here's Jay's music. And he's in the crowd. He gets the kids to yeet. Awful lot of honkies in here. Actually, that's unfair. It was a mixture, but based on the crowd's, the crowd shots, it was what it was. There was a beautiful, dark-haired woman in the front row. Beautiful. Must have been a Rhea Ripley fan just based solely on the look. I mean, and with respect. But he got the kids eating. At least the kids were into it. And that was nice fan interaction, I'll say that much. This went on forever, though. And Rollins got Steiner mad, saying he's calling your family fat asses. He's fat! And Heyman basically mentioned about all the various talents and stuff like that, talking about Sabu and all. And in the name of the late great Tommy Dreamer, I know he's not dead, but he should be. You know, maybe Dreamer should have followed through on what he was going to do at WrestleMania 17. If he didn't do it in front of the pay-per-view audience, at least he could. I hate to say it, but at this point, it's a heel versus heel program. Paul Heyman will knock Tommy Dreamer. And granted, I'm not the biggest fan of Tommy Dreamer as it is. That man made a lot of mistakes as far as working for basically free and working into debt because he believed in ECW. And he took a lot of goddamn bumps he didn't need to. And did for years and years. I don't think he's still wrestling. I think he's just producing for TNA. I produce a lot of stuff I don't want the world to see. But Tommy Dreamer did a lot for ECW. And oh no, Heyman's going to say that. Now maybe they're friends and maybe they have a camaraderie. I don't know. But for Heyman to act like that, like, oh, the late great Tommy Dreamer, oh, he should be. Yeah, Heyman, you shouldn't be alive either. For what you did to so mmany goddamn people. And I stand by that, and I will continue to champion that. And Paul Heyman deserves to be reminded of that every single day. Because it's his piece of shit attitude that led to so many people dying so young. So many people. And for all the great things that ECW did do, there's a long, massive black cloud hanging over it. Essentially, we get an Extreme Rules match later between Jay and Steiner. Once again, I'm sorry, if you're going to knock one of the talents that, bled, sweat, broke bones, and worked themselves into financial ruin, and you're just going to say that, okay, here's the thing, Sabu meant more to wrestling, and deserved a whole lot more money than Heyman ever paid. When Heyman publicly fired Sabu and did all that stuff, when Sabu took a booking in New Japan, that was paying him more than Heyman was paying. Heyman is such a fucking hypocrite and piece of shit. And I ain't gonna fucking cry one goddamn bit when he eventually blows up like one of those goddamn, overeating sprites and Metal Gear. Metal Gear. Metal Slug is what I meant. Metal Gear. So, there we go. That's the opening segment. And that's all I gotta say about Heyman. So, Io, Asuka, and Kairi yell at each other while looking as only they can look. And Io does her entrance. We go to break. She takes on Raquel. And I will say that Raquel, at least working like a big person, working like a giant, it's worked for her. It has hidden the fact that she's just not very fucking good. And she probably never will be. Roxanne, looking as only she can look at ringside. And bang with a boot is the line that Cole said as we went to break. Later, Io dives on Roxanne, then Raquel catches her. That was kind of a nice spot. We got a post shot, but then we got a knee strike in the corner. Raquel staring up at the spotlight after getting hit with the moonsault. Then Roxanne attacks, and then Rhea's music hits, and my goodness, with respect, I wish nothing but the best for her and Buddy, but goddamn Rhea. Jackie is with LA Knight. We get the usual. Punk says, we got to buddy up because we got to take down this group. But the old men are fighting again. I'm between their ages, by the way. I'm just a little older than LA Knight and was just a little younger than CM Punk. New Day and Grayson Waller are a trio now because they're mourning the death of the tag division. I'm mourning the death of my interest in tag team wrestling in general. I don't know why Xavier had the big Cyrano Bergerac hat, but it is what it is. Bet you didn't expect that reference. And I did watch some of Triple Mania. I didn't end up reviewing it because I was just really, really fucking tired. Like, I couldn't take it. At once, it got to a tag match, or a 6-person tag. Yeah, I mean, I bet you can figure out which one I'm talking about because it was only a 6-person tag on there. Good Lord. They showed Otis and that Micro Man, which Randy Newman was right. Edward James almost just, enforced it. And there were puppets. There was the iguana puppet and the Finn Demon puppet. What has happened to pro wrestling? Rhea and Io, my word. Asuka and Kairi, I assume, are upset at Io. This is a quartet that's just oh so talented and lovely. I mean, if we're going to get another Asuka Rhea match, I'm okay with that. If we are going to get this tag match to lead to different feuds, if we get an Io Kairi series, I'm all for that. I would love to see that shit. Honestly, I'd love to see these two teams in like a best of 5 or best of 7 series. I think it could work. So anyway, Penta took on Xavier Woods with Kofi and Waller. They are fighting over a Cyrano de Bergerac hat. They are fighting over shampoo, an apron bump. I don't care what happened in this match. I have nothing but respect for Xavier and Kofi. I think that Waller's in really good shape. I think Waller's kind of done. I don't know what they're doing with Theory. Either he's injured or they released him. I don't have a clue. Doesn't really matter. A Destroyer won it. Worlds collide on September 12th. I don't know if I'm going to watch that or not, guys. It just depends on if I'm busy, if I'm watching movies, and if I'm interested at all in any of that shit. I got a lot of work coming up in the next couple months. Recast of Vikingo beating Dominic. Ray mocks Dominic after losing. Dom versus Vikingo on September 12th. I took a break for the movie. That was Eden. And Dragon Lee and Mr. Iguana against Finn and Minifin, a.k.a. J.D. McDonough. Seriously. He's committed to the gimmick. The Iguana guy's committed to the gimmick. I will give him that much credit. I don't like it. I remember when Dragon Lee was touted as a big signing, and now he's just a nameless, faceless individual. Fuck, Psychosis in like 99 meant more in WCW than Dragon Lee means WWE in 2025. There's Dirty Dom chance. The match is okay. After Dominic basically messed with Dragon Lee, which sounded a lot less dirty in my head. A stomp won it. And then here's Vikingo, and he botches a dropkick from the barricade. Good job. You know, if they teamed up Vikingo and Microman, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They can't reach anything off the second shelf. It was what it was. I don't know if the crowd particularly cared. I mean, it seemed like some people reacted, but I don't know. If anybody was there in Philadelphia, did they just not mic the television or mic the crowd very good? Because it seemed like some things were muted. Here's Becky being interviewed by Jackie. I will say that Jackie Redmond is dedicated to her job because she drove all the way from, I think, Halifax because of an Air Canada strike, which I hope the pilots and everybody working there get their money because they fucking deserve that. She drove all the way to Connecticut and then decided to drive to Philadelphia. So credit to her, that's a long goddamn drive. Good on her. Shouldn't have had to do that, but dedication. Becky was in a white vest. I thought she was just in a white vest for a second. And she talks about Natty going to all these different promotions because she's not on Becky's level. Bayley is hearing voices in her head. They counsel her. They understand. And she needs to listen to the voices. You need to get back to winning. And how about a hug? We're going to get a mix of the hugger Bayley and role model Bayley, which is good. Don't go full on backwards, but just do a mixture. I think Bayley's deal runs at least through it runs through at least like mid-2026, possibly early 2027. I don't know. I don't know if she's leaving or not. It is what it is. Natalya with Maxine and Tozawa took on Becky for the women's IC title. And I like Natty. I think Natty's very talented. And I did actually go back and see the match that she had on Triple Mania. And I like the different hairstyle, the more blood sport-like thing that she's doing, the more MMA type, whatever you want to call it. I think Natty is very good. I think this match is Maxine's fault because Maxine's just not very good and has no business being around a professional wrestling ring. Like, she's never going to get it. I'm not saying she's not nice, but some people just don't get it. Natty sold the arm, had a couple decent moves, and a couple, near falls. Maxine got booted and took a terrible bump because she can't bump or do anything. Tozawa got knocked down. Good for what good he is. And Disarmer won it. And then Becky did it to Maxine because Maxine took about 8 million years to get out of the ring. And then Nikki Bella showed up. Nikki Bella is not going to win at Clash in Paris. She better not win. If they give her the IC title, I'm not going to be very happy. And I know Nikki's been through a lot, but my niceness is limited. It stops at the performer. Or it stops at, like, basically being an on-screen character. I mean, Sheamus is talking about banging, and him and Rusev are going to have a good old-fashioned Donnybrook at Clash in Paris. Maybe they're going to Eiffel Tower each other. No, they're going to get on the Eiffel Tower. Probably should have worded that better, but let's move on. It's late. Okay, what's your story with Stephanie McMahon? What was Stephanie McMahon's story comparing the 9/11 attacks to the steroid trials that her family went through? It's with Naomi and Jim Uso. They have an announcement, but we cut. Punk and Jay are talking. Punk offers help because he wants to make sure that Jay makes it because they got to take out this group. And Jay wants to do it on his own. And you're going to yeet it after all. Yeet. I'm almost 45 years old doing this shit. Pierce brings out Naomi. They cut to the screen. She's pregnant. We're going to have a baby Uso on the way. I have seen a lot of feedback that's actually been very positive. Apparently, Naomi has struggled with infertility. She has wanted to have kids. I believe Jim has a couple, if I recall correctly. I think. And Naomi, Trinity, but Naomi because I don't know her by her actual name. I mean, her real name is Trinity. She seems like a genuinely nice person. Has been through a lot. Left WWE a few years ago. Went to TNA, did her stuff. Came back. And finally, turned heel. Had that feud with Jade. Cashed in. But now she has to give the title up. Now, for those that are disappointed because they're not going to see their favorite, but they're happy for her, good on you. That's how it should be. For those that are being greedy, saying that, oh, she should, how dare she do this right at the height of her goddamn career, life is more important. This is something she wants to do. She wants to be a mother. It's not that she doesn't appreciate the kids that Jim has, but they want to have a kid of their own. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's like when people knocked Becky for having a goddamn kid. Becky did have a funny tweet, though. It's like, who would become pregnant, while being a champion or whatever. Becoming pregnant while being a champion or whatever it was. It's kind of late, but it was funny. But nobody should knock Naomi for wanting to have a kid. And for those that are, you're fucking assholes. For those that, and I've seen it's a smattering, not a big smattering, but a smattering enough of people that want to be racist about it. You're fucking goddamn dickwads, and you don't deserve to have happiness. You don't deserve to have children of your own. I wish nothing but the best for Naomi and Jim. I also don't think that Naomi is going to be, because if she's pregnant now, that's, a month along, something like that. I don't know. A little bit along. God forbid, she might have fucking worked pregnant at SummerSlam. Is what it is. It's none of my business. But she's 37 now. She's going to be 38 in November. October, November. It's dangerous for women to have kids after 35 because of biology, the changes in body chemistry, and all that stuff, and what it does to your body. And this is based on what I've heard from people that, women that have told me that have had kids from either 20 all the way to 40. And back in the day, you would have women that would have 7 or 8 kids. Some of them would have kids in their 40s. That's dangerous to do. Some women can do it, some can't. Naomi knows that her time is short as far as being able to have a kid, and if she wants to do this, great. Wish her nothing but the best. Wish her a happy, healthy pregnancy. Her and Jim, wish them nothing but the best. So if you're going to be an asshole about it or whatever, you're not a true fan of somebody. And even if you're not a fan of somebody, just understand this is what somebody wants to do. I also don't think that we're going to see Naomi back until the 2027 Rumble. At least. Because if she's pregnant now, she's not going to have the kid till at least April. That's around WrestleMania. April, something like that. Late April. Guessing. Which means that she's not going to be back by SummerSlam. I would think she would want to have some time out because Becky came back after a bit. But Becky had the kid in late 2020 and came back at SummerSlam, and that was 8 months. Alexa Bliss was off for a goddamn while. It takes a while, and time is more important as far as spending time with your child, having fun. Wrestling comes second. So, nothing but the best to Naomi and Jim Uso. She healed it up because you could tell that it was getting to her. There were baby Uso chants. She was like the bloodlines continued. She got rid of Pierce, got rid of him, kicked him out. Whoever has this championship, I advise you to proceed with caution. Good on Naomi. So anyway, then Jay brings a shopping cart full of weapons, like New Jack. No mass transit in the crowd. That idiot. Sorry, the kid deserved it because you don't get in the ring doing that and then try to be unprofessional. So, Jay and Steiner had a match. It was a Yeet Stream Rules match with Heyman looking at all the bumps that he would have never taken because he's a coward. A lariat at one point sends Steiner over the top rope right onto the cart, legs first. It was right there where I knew that this match was going to be a mess, and I'm not a fan of weapons-based matches, but I have praised some in the past. But while this wasn't egregious, it also just featured nothing but a bunch of weapons in the ring by the time we came back from break. Fortunately, Steiner was okay. He leapt with the trash can onto the announcer's table. And then, who throws a shoe? Bronson Lee, or Bronson Reed as it were. He hit the ref with the shoe, which was kind of funny. Here's LA Knight after a Death Valley driver. Seth and Punk show up. We get a single on to Punk's theme. LA Knight gets put through a table. Punk's like, yeah, the Slim Jim table. I'm sorry. And then Punk and Rollins run and fight off. They just fight off. And then Roman's music hits, but Steiner's like, well, I'm not going to wait for this. And then suddenly he gets hit with a spear because Roman just appeared out of the ground. Like the goddamn Shadow Trio in Super Mario, Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door, whatever the hell the name of that group was. Steiner gets hit with a spear, and then a table splash won it, and there you go. So yeah, longer review than usual, and probably the only Raw review I will do for a little bit. Next week I'm not going to bother watching, not because I don't like UK crowds, but because Netflix is going to do this stuff live. I'm going to be at work pretty much through the entire broadcast, and I don't feel like it. And I got a mystery movie coming up on the 1st. So whenever you see Raw reviews, when you'll see one, and if they make SmackDown's tag division actually better, if they make the tag divisions actually good in general, maybe I'll watch more of the weekly programming. But right now, we are on the way to the end of the year. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rickland, and until we eat again, happy trails to you.